What's up, guys? We're going to be doing just some live streaming just to test this thing out again. And we're going to talk about long shots and stuff. But first, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this stream all over the place just to make sure you guys get a chance to see it. So bear with me for a quick moment, and then I will jump into what's going on here. There we go. Oh, wait, almost. Where is that? There we go. Okay. There. Okay. What's up? What's up, Pete Fuzzy Pete? Broke Nerfing? Sharing is caring. That's right. If you care to share, that would be awesome. Hey, Corey. Can you guys see and hear everything okay? Hey, Mr. Manhattan. All right. Thanks, guys. Ooh. So hopefully you guys have had a fun weekend. I had a really good time hanging out with the MBNC guys over at Corey's place working on my Longshot. And I'm working on a different one today. It's got the internals of that one that I've been working on for quite a while. And I just wanted to do some maintenance on it. I put it in this new shell that I'm cutting up. I tested out that paint job that I wanted on the shell on Saturday. A lot of things that I really liked about that paintwork, but one of the things I really disliked is how dark it was. So I'm going to be doing up the new shell, trying to make it a little bit brighter. I still want to go with that metallic metal look because I want it to go with the metal parts that I've got in here. So I want to give it that feel, but it just was way too dark. I might still use that shell for something else. I also used a heat gun on the later parts of the paint job to kind of get it to dry. It was getting late, getting dark. And I did some damage to the inside of the Longshot shell itself. So I've got to do some Dremel work in there and clean up the mistakes that I made with the heat gun on the inside of the shell. But you'll probably see that shell again as I kind of probably will use it for something else in the future. Hey, Tyrone. So feel free to chime in. I'm looking at the chat on another device here, so I'm hopefully paying attention to both what I'm doing and what you guys are saying, unlike Saturday, where I was way too engrossed into what I was doing to really pay attention to everything else. But it was really fun. If you caught that stream, thanks for showing up. My phone cut out exactly the same time as I think Skylar's phone too. We were looking at Corey and Skylar's phone for the chat stuff, and his phone shut out, and then immediately thereafter my phone shut out, so the stream ended. All right. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Okay, so what I've kind of done with this new one is I've kind of prepped it for what I'm going to be doing, which is pretty much similar stuff. I'm going to be putting a top rail on this. Obviously the pump grip, so I've got this cut out here as I prep for that. Interestingly enough, this grip, the low profile F10 pump grip, works without that piece. It works just fine. It really just rides on that rail that's already built into the Longshot, so that other piece isn't necessary. But obviously it'll look much better. So that's something cool in case you were curious about that. Ah, you're changing your wheels on my Swordfish to my Rapid Strike. You doing it right now? if you are, who else is doing some modding stuff right now? Yep. So, still works without it. It's pretty cool. This feels so light though, because it doesn't have all that extra bulk that I normally have on it, but it is kind of cool that you can kind of see all the stuff that's going on inside of it here, and underneath with all the holes. Okay, what I wanted to do was kind of pull this stuff apart. I don't want to fire this right now. It's like 9:30, everybody in the house is asleep. And this can get quite loud with all this exposed stuff in the shell and nothing really hankering it down. It's a little bit better in my other Longshot shell because it's just got the bulk and the girth and the weight to everything. This is just so open, it's really loud. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart so we can kind of take a look inside the shell, and I can do a little bit of work on it. Ah, here it is. I was looking for it. Awesome. You're working on it right meow. Anybody else working on anything cool this weekend? Corey says, are you going to keep that top rail from the melted shell or get a new one? I'm probably still going to end up using that shell for something as soon as I get time to kind of clean out the internal melted parts and cut that out. I'll probably use it for something. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull any of those things off. They're all 3D printed and epoxied on. So I'm 100% certain if I try to pry it off, it'll rip up the 3D printed parts. 100% certain that that's what's going to happen. But I really like that paint job. Unfortunately, it's just too dark. Shoot. As you guys know, because you guys, we all game together, at least Corey and Skylar, I run it very aggressively with a giant scope, lots of sling things and everything, and I don't want it to be dark. So I was hoping that red was going to come out to be much brighter than it did, but it didn't. So lesson learned, we'll have to redo some of that paint in this shell. Pete says, hopefully I will be painting the green demon. Ooh. Rapid strike grip quantum pistol. Quantum, which one was the quantum? The quantum's the dart zone equivalent of the Nemesis, right? Could be wrong. I think so. Yes. Cool. Excellent. There they are. Put it on my magnet tray. Don't need it for now. Somebody was asking about this piece here. If you happen to be on the stream or catch this later, this is a anti-slip hand stop. The company that I purchased this from is UTG. Their logo is on there. I think I got it direct from the seller, or maybe off of eBay, direct from the seller. Pretty nice, pretty handy. It works with the F10 555 pump grip, not the latest version, but the version that came before it that has the Picatinny section on the bottom. The latest one doesn't have that, but you can obviously still use it if you really wanted to. But this one has the Picatinny at the bottom. The Picatinny doesn't quite lock in really nicely because it's only about this much of the Picatinny, and the locking areas on here weren't in the right spots. So what I ended up doing is I drilled 2 small holes into the Picatinny rail and through the hand stop to kind of give it an extra anchor point. It still stays on there pretty tightly, but I've had it fall off in a game, so I just anchored it mechanically, and it works just fine. Ah, cool. I haven't seen their holster. Ah, fits a strong arm. Nice. And a Chronos. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the product was really good. I liked what UTG came up with there. Okay. Here's an example of how dark that red actually came out. If you can barely tell there that that is that red that I ended up coloring it. Let's see if I move it towards the light here. A little bit better, maybe? Yeah. Anyway, that's the red that it came out with. And as you can see, it's pretty dark. It might look better in the daylight. You know, I can use that. I think I can count on that maybe to look better in the daylight. But it doesn't look very bright, and it looks very black from a distance in a dark room. I haven't talked about this yet. I haven't talked about a lot of things on this channel yet. But this part is incredibly well printed. If you haven't had a chance to get your hands on this yet or seen a friend with it, I'm really impressed with the print quality and the design work too. Everything just kind of matches up with the Longshot shell beautifully. I'm thoroughly impressed with Workers, F10555 and Workers product here. I'll have to sand this down and repaint it as well. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, right now my drop leg for like smaller things are kind of like the off-brand, well, not off-brand, but well, what is that? Little Valentine for like really small stuff. And then for my hammer shot, I have the dedicated hammer shot from Apex. Yeah, this one right here. The Apex Tactical Gear, or whatever that company is called. Apex Tactical Solutions, I think. Obviously, it was meant for the hammer shot, so it fits a hammer shot really well. I did have an issue where one of the rivets came off, so I just glued it back on, and it works just fine. But yeah, works really well, works really nicely. And of course, Vectorworks' 44 Magnum thing here looks super sweet, along with Orange Modworks' OTAC kit there. All right. Yeah, the finish on the Longshot from Saturday came out really nice and shiny. It looks so much better in person, definitely. So I still want to stick with that direction. I just want to go with probably adding more silver down, chrome silver down, before putting on the red coat. I put the red coat on first without any of that, and it barely showed up at all on top of that gloss black. So then I laid down some light, like I put down a light dusting, a couple of light dustings of the chrome silver on top of the gloss black, and then the red started to show up, but it didn't really show up as well as I thought it would. Yes, tournament games for Southern California Nerfing. Do we have kind of a rule set that we're going by there, Skylar? I kind of vaguely remember the Discord. Oh, speaking of which, if anybody is on Discord, check the description to this video or the last video. The Discord link, along with other links, should be in the video description. We can use the exact blaster tag rules. I'll have to get familiar with what those are. You're talking about BTA, Blaster Tag Association rules? Ah, okay. Oh, Skylar, the other thing I also tried is using the Dart Zone Sure Shot Dart foam on one of my new darts right here, and works pretty well. It is definitely a lot thicker in that foam quality. Oh, the link is expired. Shoot, that's good to know. All right, I will have to update that. But if one of you other guys on that Discord wants to link it on the chat, that'd be cool too. Thanks, Pete. There we go. That is still connecting. Ah, I missed a screw. Looks like Corey's going to be on it. Yes, our social one, that the Discord, one of the Discord things. There we go. Oh no, I'm dropping screws. Let's move this out for a sec. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Won't let you paste a web address. That's lame. Weird. Hey Corey, can you send me the link on Messenger? Maybe I can do something with it there. Push. Okay. All right. So, I prepped the shell, obviously. Let me see if I can get a secondary light here. There we go. So I prepped the shell, obviously. Just with a handsaw, cut off the top and cut off the sides here. You can do a lot with a handsaw. And I've already, let's see if you can see this here. I've already, let me move the camera around a bit. Okay, doing two things with one hand. Okay, there we go. So I've already kind of prepped the shell, as you can see by this white strip here. This is the fiberglassing work using fiber tape and fiber reinforced packaging tape as a laminate layer at the top and bottom. In between is the fiber tape for kind of like fiberglass bodywork, or the that fibercloth stuff, and a lot of epoxy to kind of give this a really solid point. And back here, I don't know if you can see this very well. Yeah, there we go, kind of like that. See these two glossy areas back here? These two areas are filled with epoxy and fiber tape as well, to give the back end solid reinforcement, as well as the front end of the plunger tube solid reinforcement. The other side is done up the same way. There's a cool thing that I wanted to kind of share with y'all too, is this. This is an exploder's plunger tube that I cut off the end on so that it'll fit right in here. But it pretty nicely fits inside of here. You're going to have to do away with some of the material, like this middle piece here and these two outer lines here, and reverse on the other side of the shell to get this to fit, because this is a 40 millimeter plunger tube. But unlike using 40 mil PVC with a really thick wall, this has a really thin wall. So you've got a little bit more air volume there. In fact, if you have the expanded Orange Modworks plunger tube, it fits inside of here. So this may be going in here at some point in the near future, once I figure out what I want to do with sealing up the plunger tube and sealing up the plunger cup. Thanks, Corey. All right. So I'll keep working on this one as I kind of figure out how I want to utilize it, if I want to utilize it. I've got plenty of Longshot shells to try this out on, so I will be doing that at some point. But because it's much wider, I do have to figure out what I want to do with the plunger head and plunger cup. No, 300 FPS is not enough. That's why I'm looking into a 40 millimeter plunger tube. You've seen our games, right? When we go out in the field. I think the most I shot with that system was maybe 350-ish with an Elite dart. Something like that. That Elite foam just loves 17-30 seconds. Okay, let me put this down. Something else I wanted to try to do on here that I normally take out, but wanted to try here. Let me take this out first. Oh, and just to show you what I'm talking about, this is the expanded plunger tube. This is the black Exploders plunger tube that I showed you about earlier, and it fits right inside. So I have so many of those because I use them for springs, barrels, screws, plastic bits, whatever. So I've got plenty of those barrel plunger tubes to test from. Let me take this out before I lose the spring. Okay. So normally I take this piece out, this weird funky little lock piece. But what I've kind of noticed is with a bolt sled that still has the tail, which this OMW one does, it really helps keep the alignment of the bolt sled in place. Now I've already got the pump grip on this, so that also helps with the alignment. This is probably just unnecessary at this point with that. But it does keep that tail down flat to the right side of the shell. So I've kind of kept it in for this shell. Now, one thing I did have to do is I had to shave a sharp slope onto the tail so that it just overcomes the catch on this lock. I don't even understand this lock, to be honest with you, but I always take it out. But this time around, I decided to keep it. Anyway, let's get to the internals and pull it out. Also, this is the one that's running the Merlin. The Merlin that I have is slightly different than what Chris has, and I'll probably talk more in depth about it in some other video, but just kind of wanted to go over some of the reasoning here as I kind of think through what I want to say in an actual video about this. Chris's ones are usually shorter. And I understand the benefit of that. I'll probably be making a second one That's a little bit closer to how Chris runs his, because I want to use it as a comparison. But he has it shorter, so what that kind of does, especially since we're using half-length darts, it makes sure that the air pressure behind the dart is still enough to push it through the rifling, the twist part, and make sure that it catches. He also has a choke at the end of his, which I want to test out and see how that does. My choke is open, his choke is closed. And I also have a different twist rate. He went with a 3/8 twist rate, so going more than a quarter. I went under a quarter, closer to like a 7/32, so under a quarter twist. And I also went longer, so it's twice as long as his on the twist. A lot of this stuff that I was thinking about for designing, or not designing, obviously I didn't design the Merlin, but just coming up with my specifications for this Merlin, comes from the airgun world, specifically FX and their smooth twist barrels. So I kind of wanted to run some of the theories on that, so keeping it a very, very smooth finish, and since the Merlin is designed to not grip the dart as much as kind of guide the dart out into a twist, it really keeps it, keeps the pressure behind it, keeps the FPS pretty well up, and it doesn't kind of drop it or anything, and it gives it a little bit more of that twist. The twist rate I went with less because I wanted to emulate some of the data that was discovered in airgun shooting, which is over twisting will give you a nice stability at short range, but at medium to long range, especially long range, the over stabilization loses tractability, and then you run into issues with how the pellet would fly. And I noticed some of those things would happen when I've seen shots done with rifling, because I've had other rifled systems, and they will kind of catch funnier at longer range with higher twists. So I went with less twists. Again, something from airguns, less twist makes it less stable, but more consistent, and keeps the tractability of the projectile at long range, which gives it a better chance not to run into ballistics issues in flight. So more of that and some other thing with a lot more detail, hopefully charts and graphs, something weird, something stupid. We'll see. But I do highly encourage you guys to try to make one of these. The hardest part is cleaning out the glue. Cutting it is pretty hard too, but I would say I'd prefer cutting it than cleaning out the glue once you're done. It is so frustrating to clean out that glue, at least to the standard that I have. I wanted to make sure it was nice and smooth all the way through, where you don't have gunks of glue anywhere. I really took my time to get that out there. Chris knows how much effort and how long that takes, obviously. But it is an effort to get the glue residue after it's set out of the barrel. But I did it. I got probably 95, 99% maybe, I don't know. But I know where the glue residue is, and it's very much so on just the ridges of the Merlin spiral, but none on the barrel. I kept this around too because I'm going to do a Merlin video, but this was my first attempt, and it is botched. I wasn't as careful in cutting it, and I ended up bending the brass in a couple of places and could not unbend it without getting kinks in it, so I abandoned this one and made a new one. But it does take time, and you do have to be careful with how you cut it. There we go. Yeah, so similarly to the other one, this one has the fiberglass reinforcement here, and also back here. I have a filler piece, which you probably won't be able to see back here, between the screw port and the plastic to give it that rest. And this lock that I normally take out is now serving as the support for this weak point right here as well. So normally I fill that gap too between the screw port here and the plastic, but I wanted to keep this there to serve that purpose as well as kind of keeping it straight if the bolt slide still has the tail, which again mine does. All right. Whoop, sorry, I think I hit the camera. Yes, I did. See you, Corey. Okay. All right. So let's pull this out and talk about some of the things that I did here and what things I would like to do tonight. So one of the things that I did, I don't know how well we can see this, but let's see here at all. Can't really see that very well, can you? Maybe like this. Anyway, I combed out the back end here, seeing Vectorworks' Stuka design. They have a much steeper cone than mine does. But the theory behind it is directing airflow into the bolt. I get it. I like the idea. I'm testing it out to see if there's any solid gains out of it. It seems really sound as a theory, so I'm running with it. Theirs is a lot steeper and a lot wider than mine, but for right now, this is what I'm doing to mine. And obviously, the O-ring here for that extra seal. I think I shared it on Chris's video, but there's about 1 millimeter of fiberglass at the end of this, which matches up with the millimeter of fiberglass at the end of this. So those things should probably not break. This has a looser fit than this one, obviously, but this still does give me a 100% air seal, so it's just at that right bit of speed and seal, which is awesome. Let's grab a dart. This one should do. Yeah. So if I drop this green one in here, you can see that yes, it's a half dart, but the head still peeks out. That's because there's a pusher inside of this sleeper breech right here, so that we really only have about this much dead space inside of this pusher, and it's 1/2 inch brass inside of there. So we're reducing the dead space a little bit. I pulled the barrel into the blaster a lot more. Basically, I matched it up to where the worker magazine starts, where their dart head starts, and pulled the barrel all the way up to there, so I can kind of get much more room, much more seal between the barrels and the barrel and the bolt, which again gives it 100% air seal and a lot more reliability to it. Let's get that out. There we go. Cool. There's that. This is glued, so the barrel is actually glued, spacered with electrical tape and glued, centered with electrical tape and glued down into this 3/4 inch stainless steel tube. And then I have a lot of electrical tape here to serve as a buffer for this, but also a notched electrical tape so that there's space for the notches inside of this, which when locked into place, oops, it's upside down. There we go. When locked into place, will keep this from rotating and keep it from moving out and in. So it really gives it a nice solid base. That way this is not going to be vibrating or going off in any unwanted direction when we're shooting. That way we've got the best chance of having a lot of accuracy out of this. This barrel still smells like Pledge because on Saturday I waxed it, so that was pretty cool. I got a chance to always give it a good wax job inside. And this as well is waxed. Make sure this is aligned the way I want it to. There we go. Good. Awesome. Cool. So I'm thinking about painting these pieces on the inside. Hey, Chris. I'm thinking about painting these plastic pieces on the inside because I want to kind of get that whole paint scheme matched up. But I don't know what to yet, but just kind of thinking about matching the colors externally and internally because I do have no jam door on my Longshots because I like to look in there and I like to see what's going on in there. So it is exposed, and I'd like to see what kind of color choices I should go with. Maybe like a metallic, obviously probably something metallic. I could go with basic black. I did that with one of the other ones where I painted the bolt black too. But maybe something else. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about it. Dye it black? Yeah, definitely. That's always an option just because of how much simpler that would be. Yeah. Chris, I was just talking about earlier, I don't know when you joined the stream, but I coned the back end here, 3/4 inch, I think. Yeah, 3/4 inch countersink to cone the back end into the 1/2 inch pusher inside the bolt. So basically used one of these to kind of just cone it in there. Okay, so that's all said and done. All right, let's put this away. So this idea that I have for this 1/2 inch sleeper breech actually came from one of my older sleeper breech Longshots, which is hanging up on my retired wall. That has an internal pump grip as well, but it more specifically, alignment's funny. Make sure it's aligned. There we go. It more specifically also was my kind of initial concept idea of having a pusher inside of a bolt to have it fit for short length darts. The only issue I was having with that was at the time that I had built that blaster, I was still using homemade kind of DIY Stefan mags, using, you know, just some rod inside of a normal Nerf magazine, so it was front aligned, which means I couldn't do what I'm doing here, which is a little bit off center to center aligned, so I didn't get a chance to get a nice seat inside of the brass together. So I only still had about that 1 millimeter of seal, which never really gave it as good of a seal as I would have liked. My brass work at that time was also not as good as it is now, but it's still an over 220, 230 blaster with, I think, a 10 kg spring. Yeah, I think that's what it has in there. So it's not bad, it's just retired now. Anyway, so this is what I'm running here. The entire barrel length of this blaster, from where the dart kind of seats to the end of the Merlin, is pretty much 18 inches. just in case anybody was curious. So it's a 18 inches of travel for the dart and about maybe 2 inches of dead space because of the way I have the internal setup here. So it's about 2 inches of dead space with a 15-30 seconds inner diameter. Okay. So this thing is all, yeah, that's definitely getting hard. So probably about another day or so, all this epoxy is going to fully set, and it'll be very stiff, very hard. All the epoxy back here, everything will be very good to go. Probably going to build it very similarly to how I built the other one, just using the blue shell. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about the blue shell's difference in the magazine well. That's why I wanted to open this up. Now I remember. So the blue shell and the yellow one as well, I think the yellow one, have these orange pieces that go inside to kind of help guide the magazine as it goes inside. But there's a few things that you need to cut off on here. So there's usually a piece that comes out here and juts out, but that part is usually where some of the aftermarket magazines and magazine adapters catch, so you need to cut that off. Basically, there's also another lip up here that juts up. That's another thing that needs to be cut off and trimmed off, and another one back here. So the idea here is keeping the center area flat in between these high point rails, so that when it lines up in here, it'll have a nice chance to feed a magazine without catching on those. Now there's a couple of other things that need to be done as I've been kind of testing the magazine. The one on the left, so the one towards the front of the barrel, the ridge there needs a gentle slope. All these things have been fixed in the Zombie Strike, by the way, so there's definitely a lot of things they did internally to that one. But you kind of need to give it a slope, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that slope right now. There we go. So that side needs a slope, sloping ramp. So now that side has a nice sloping ramp, which means you also need to cut off the little nub on this side, on the actual shell. Get rid of that piece. There we go. Okay. So you get rid of that piece here. There we go. And then this piece right here is too fat. So what you need to do is put this in there and line up where the orange plastic's rail is and cut off the excess. There we go. Longshots and I have a long history. There we go. So that should do it. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in place. I'm going to move you to... Oh, Chris, if you're going to be in my area anytime this week before Ragnarok, let me know and you can come pick these up. Where's the right screw for these? Tiny, tiny screws. Tiny, tiny screws. tiny screws. Yep. One more tiny screw. There it is. There we go. Tiny screw, tiny screwdriver. What was that? Okay. Alright. So the right half is done, now to the left half. So this half we're going to do the same thing. We're going to figure out which side aligns. There we go. And again, just like the other one, we're going to take the side that is closest to the muzzle end and give it a nice ramp. There we go. Happiness is a long shot. Yes, it is. And then just like the other one, we're going to cut back the rear one. And cut off the front one. It's all these tiny little micro things you do to a blaster just to tailor it, you know? I kind of find it fun. It is tedious, but it is fun. Oh, I dropped a screw. And I found a screw. There. Very good. Now let's put them together. Grab my magazine. This is a true test. The Create with Ezekiel magazine adapter. And let's see if it fits any better. Oh, almost. What else is different here? Oh, that's interesting. Is there a difference in the shell that's more than that? Oh, that'd be interesting. So the magazine fits a lot better now, but there's these two pieces here that I don't think I've noticed before. Let me grab the zombie strike. Yep, it's still there. That's weird. But what's different about them? Let's see what's different. That one fits in just fine. But why? Looks the same now. Okay. Is there something inside? No. Something in here? Maybe. I think it's wider. .9 and 34.5. 4. Is it 1 millimeter? No, that isn't it. Okay. Let's see what else. What are you guys saying? I've seen them katana mag somewhat flared, but they have a jet for even more flared by Zorko. Colt. Yeah. Gotcha. All right, let's see here. This goes in. Interesting. It seems like this shell might just be a little bit too wide. Just a hair too wide. And it still fits. It'll probably still lock in if I actually had the magazine lock on here. Yeah, it'll probably fit in just fine with magazine lock, but hey, I didn't know that. I wonder if I can cut that down any without ruining the shell. It's a bit thin. So if I had to do any cutting, it would be to this right here, which I'm not going to do right now. I will do that if I have to. If I put the lock into place and this doesn't lock in, I will have to do that. But otherwise, I think it works just fine. So yeah, the cuts I made internally here are exactly perfect. Excuse me. To keep it adaptable. Excuse me again. Excuse me. All right. To keep it adaptable to the wider magazines like these are the workers. Yeah, there we go. Could just be that it's not screwed in, but it works just fine now. There you go. But I love these flared magazine wells that Ezekiel makes. They're forward aligned a little bit, which neither here nor there given what I'm using. But I love the flared magazine well. I like this trigger guard. It's nice. It's really nice. And now it works, whereas before it didn't. Yeah, just those little tweaks inside. Okay, very nice. All right, what other tweaks did I need to make in here? Very nice. Cool. Okay. I really didn't have any other plans for this mod stream other than just going live again while I'm working on something anyway, which I think I might try to do more often while I'm working on something anyway. So feel free to chime in, ask questions, do the things in the chats. I'll turn this light off now. It's hot. There we go. Cool. Yeah, this is much thicker foam. Again, I know I mentioned it before, but it's definitely much thicker foam. It actually does sometimes cause a vacuum issue inside of the breech, which is interesting. Not all the time, especially if it's out of a magazine instead of hand loading it, because the magazine's a little bit more forward, but it is something to note. Just Chris being Chris? What happened? I missed it. that thing's nice and smooth. I'm going to paint the internals this week. So the other thing I'm going to do with this paint job on here is not do what I did on Saturday, which is try to do everything all at one time, which always puts me on edge, but take a much longer time doing the paint job. Part of that was really just trying to test to see how well it worked, and I probably would have been much happier if I didn't end up melting the inside of the shell in the front, but it is what it is. Let's put this together. I think that's all I wanted to do with this shell. Everything that I wanted to reinforce is reinforced. I don't think I need to reinforce anything else. Once the other pieces come into play, those act as reinforcements. Usually I'll kind of give a little bit of reinforcement to the top areas here, but with the rail, it really gives it a nice structure, so that's unnecessary. Yeah, I don't think I need to reinforce anything else. I think I am good. Grip, sometimes, I wish I would, but I don't think I'm going to reinforce the grip. I think it's fine for now. Okay, let's put it back together. Gosh, I just like looking in here. It is just pretty. Especially this way, because you can see the twist, the rifling twist. Ooh, it is pretty. It's so long. This is probably 21 to 22 inches from here to here at this point. Oh, it's beautiful. If I don't say so myself. Yes, Skylar, you need to join the katana cult. Join the Ronin. There we go. Chris, I took a page out of your thing too and put the tape in here to hold everything in place. I like it a lot better that way. Okay, and my catch. Okay, everything's in place. I'm not doing like a full re-grease or anything in this because this is a shell that's going to get all sanded up anyway this week, so no point doing that. I just kind of want to put it together so I've got something to shoot. Longshot shells always come together so nicely. And if they don't, you did something wrong inside. All metal ret. Ah, nice. Get metal. I do have a metal sled for the Longshot coming in. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with any of my Orange Modworks Longshot sleds. And I've had 4? Yeah, I think I've had 4 of them. And I've never had an issue with a Longshot sled. I'm reinforcing these ones now because I've been running 18.5 kg and the 20 kgs in them. But even then, it really wasn't that necessary. It's just kind of being precautionary because I like them. And I don't want to go to a game and have it break when I knew I could have done something about it. I normally don't put this many screws inside of my Longshot, but given the condition of how cut up this one is, I'm just being careful. There we go. And for the hub grip, nope, no screws in there. 1, 2. There we go. Let's test the seal. Nice. Yeah, fits just fine now. Maybe just had to be broken in a little bit. Cool. Very cool. Alright. I did what I wanted to do, which is to trim out the inside here so I can fit the magazine adapter, and I did just that. Very nice. Put my sheath on just to make sure that there's no issues with that. There we go. Doo-doo. Alright. Cool. Drinking anything? I should. I'll be right back. Alright, did I lose anybody? Probably. It is hot. Why wasn't I drinking? Just a nice scotch today. Let's see, stuff I got today, or this week. Check it out. What I'm gonna do to one of my ruts. That's an awful seal, though. Anybody else complain about this seal? This is an awful seal. It is a non-existent seal. Maybe it'll be better with lube. For those of you that have one, reassure me, please. Chris, you have one now, right? Is your seal okay? Is it just mine that's messed up? Or does it just need lube? Teflon? Yeah, alright. Okay, figured. Then I will lube that up. So I also got this last week from Clowny. One of his modded hot shocks. 1730 seconds brass inside, about yay much. It is front loaded, and he painted the plunger tube black and has gotten your typical Clowny artwork on there. The package that it came in was pretty badly damaged by post. Salvageable, but it was practically open inside of the mailbox. He put K26 in here, and it's got a lot of space, but it hits amazingly well. It hits about 150 or so, just under 150 with, I think, elites. I think I was shooting, yeah, I think I was shooting elites and was getting about 150 with elites. And then I was getting around 120 with ACCs. Not bad at all for a little sidearm. Pretty cool. Yep. Okay. He also sent me ace number 49 spring to go in here, which I may replace it out just to kind of see. I know it's going to be stronger than the K26. But I really like what he's done. Cloudy just really has some nice, pretty brass work. He really polished it up really nicely. It is so straight in there. It's things like that that I really, really appreciate from people's work. You know, making sure that your blasters are straight, your barrels on your blasters, I mean, are straight, and just taking the time to polish your work. You know, cleaning it up. That's really nice. I appreciate people who do that. It is so hot today. Why is it so hot today? Shoot, where did I put that thing? Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Crap, where the heck did I put that thing? Sorry guys, I am just looking for something that I don't know where it is. What are you guys talking about? Scotch or scotch? Mmm. Yeah. Oh, this sucks. Where did I put it? That's frightening. Should be in here. Oh man. Huh. find what I'm looking for. Oh, jeez. Nope, I'm here. Well, there's those things that I need. Well, that sucks. Might as well drink. Looking for a part that I was working on, and I cannot find it. I don't know where I put it. That is frustrating. Spare parts bin. Maybe it's in one of these. Nice, Skylar. Nope. I'm deeply disturbed, upset, and frustrated that I cannot find this thing. Oh, jeez. Where could it be? Okay, I don't know where it is. That's going to frustrate me. I'll have to look for it again later. Yeah, I saw the Type R, AR, yeah. It looks really good, man. Toned down, but still a killer. It's frustrating me that I can't find what I'm looking for. It's not that messy in here. Maybe it is. Oh man. Whoops. Well, it's pretty stupid that I can't find it. Oh well. This is not cool. I was supposed to be working on that. Which means I probably would have put it somewhere safe. Which means I'm not going to find it right now. Ugh. All gone. So weird. How could it have disappeared? Think, Allan, think. If it were me, I would have put it in a project bag. Not that bag. Man, okay. Ooh, what's that? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, there's one thing I could do. Kid broke a piggy bank. I can glue it back together while I have it out. Where's my super glue? Okay, I'm out of super glue. Grab a new one. There. That'll do. That'll do. Now where do they put their cap lid on this thing? Come on. Hold in place. Why don't you hold it in place? Yeah. There we go. There we go. Hold yourself together. You can hang it over there. Cool. And I was also supposed to fix this thing. Sorry, now I'm just fixing things that my kids broke. Which they'll probably break again. There we go. Let that sit there, and we're good. Okay. What else did I want to do? Did that. Put stuff away yesterday. Put this tape away. Alright. I don't know what else I could do. I think I'm good to go for now. So thank you all for joining in on the stream. And I will probably do this again some other time. Night, everybody.